What is going on, everyone? I hope you are all having a fantastic day. So, we've looked at a lot of different credit card options here on the channel, and maybe you found one that you really liked and you were excited about, and you went ahead and applied only to find out that your credit card application was denied. And I get it, because I have totally been there before. So today let's break down 5 reasons why your credit card application may have been denied, and more importantly, talk about how you can fix those things to make sure that you are getting approved for whatever credit card you want in the future, and building your credit score as quickly as possible. Alright, let's jump right into it. So whether you are applying for your very first credit card and have zero credit history, or you are a credit card master who is constantly getting the best sign-up bonuses available, I'm sure we have all been or will all be denied for a credit card or some other line of credit at some point in our lives. So what can you do to improve your chances of getting approved every single time? Well, I limited this list to 5 really common and important reasons, so we're not going to talk about any of the obvious things like maybe you're too young, or maybe you have absolutely no credit history, but you're trying to apply for the American Express Centurion card. Yeah, sorry, that's not gonna happen. But I like where your head's at. All jokes aside, the first reason why your credit card application may have been denied is because your credit score may be too low for that particular card that you applied for. Or maybe you just don't have enough credit history. Now, this one is going to require a more in-depth look at your personal situation, but you do need to understand what kind of card you are applying for. Most credit cards can be classified roughly as a beginner, intermediate, or advanced credit option. And all this means is if you're trying to apply for a beginner credit card like the Discover It, then a low credit score is really not going to be the problem in most situations. But on the flip side of that coin, if you have zero credit history but you're trying to apply for the Amex Centurion card, well, then
there's your problem right there.
So if you were denied for a credit card, but you know that it was a bit of a stretch for you in terms of your credit score and credit history, then the easiest solution is to just improve your credit score and then go ahead and reapply. Now, there are tons of ways to go about this, and that is not the purpose of today's video, but I have made a full video on how to improve your credit score. But honestly, as long as you keep your utilization low and you always pay off all of your lines of credit on time consistently, then you should be able to build up a pretty decent credit score in a relatively short period of time, and then you can just go ahead and reapply for whatever credit card you were denied from. Okay, so maybe you have a decent credit score and you fall within the recommended range for the particular card that you want. So why were you still denied? Well, that brings us to the second reason that your application may have been rejected, and that's because your income, and specifically your disposable income, might be too low. Now, you may have noticed this on your credit card application, and I certainly have seen it myself time and time again, but oftentimes they will not only ask you about your income, but they might also ask you a question about your monthly rent or mortgage payment, and in some cases, other expenses that you may have. And while this may seem really odd and intrusive, it's because they want to know not only how much money are you making, but more importantly, how much disposable income do you actually have. And remember, your disposable income is the money that is left over after you take care of the needs, and this is the money that you are free to spend on things that you want. But remember, a credit card company makes money when you use your credit card. So if you don't have a ton of disposable income, then they probably aren't going to get very much out of you as a customer, and as a result, they may deny your application. Now, this one also has a second part to it, and that's if your income is unstable, and that doesn't mean that you don't make a lot of money, but simply means that your income may be inconsistent and might fluctuate constantly. For example, if you are self-employed, or even if you have a job like a real estate agent, well, your income is probably constantly changing, and the credit card company is not going to like that in most situations, because once again, they want to be able to gauge how likely you are to not only pay that card back on time, but how likely you are to actually use that card, because again, that is how they make money. So if your income is inconsistent, then that means that your spending will probably also be inconsistent, and that makes it very hard for them to gauge whether or not you will be a good customer. So unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that you can do about this one, but the good news is that once you've shown that you can maintain your level of income, even if it does fluctuate throughout the year, for at least 1 to 2 years, then most lenders, whether that be a credit card company or a mortgage lender, are probably going to go ahead and approve you for that loan as long as you check all of the other boxes. Okay, so having too low of a credit score or an inconsistent income are two of the most common reasons that your credit card application may have been denied. But it's very possible that you may have already thought about those things. So these last 3 tips are definitely getting into the nitty-gritty, but very well could be the reason why your application was rejected. The third reason on our list is that you may have too many hard inquiries on your credit report. Now, a hard inquiry is basically when a lender pulls your credit report when you apply for a loan or a credit card in order to check your credit history. And when this happens, this shows up on your credit report as what's called a hard inquiry, and typically results in a temporary decline in your credit score. Now, the good news is that these hard inquiries make up a very small percentage of your overall credit score. However, they can affect your score for up to a year and can stay on your credit report for up to 2 years in some situations. So if you recently took out a mortgage, got a car loan, opened 3 credit cards, and refinanced your student loans, then that means that you probably have at least 6 hard inquiries on your credit report, and that is a major red flag to the credit card companies. Now again, this usually isn't that big of a deal unless you have a crazy amount of hard inquiries, but this most commonly comes into play when these hard inquiries are caused by you opening multiple credit cards in a short period of time. And that's because the credit card company may view this as what's called credit card churning, which is basically when you constantly are opening up a credit card just to get the sign-up bonus before going ahead and closing that account and forgetting about it. And trust me, the credit card companies hate credit card churning. So if you have a lot of hard inquiries on your credit report, then just give it some time and let these work themselves out. And if you know that there is a credit card or other line of credit that you want to apply for in the near future, then I would really try to avoid applying for any other line of credit until you get that card in order to avoid that hard inquiry from showing up on your credit report. Now that segues nicely into the 4th reason that your application may have been denied, and that's because you may have too much debt, or even worse, you might be in delinquency or collections on one of your accounts. Now, obviously, if you haven't paid a line of credit for a long time and you're in delinquency, or the company has sold off that debt to a collections company, then that's most likely the reason that your application was denied. But chances are, if that situation applies to you, then you probably already knew that. However, even if you haven't missed any payments and you have a perfect on-time payment history, just having too much debt can still be a reason for your application to be denied. This is for a number of reasons, but again, if you have to pay a mortgage, your car loans, your student loans, and you have 3 other credit cards, then a new credit card company is probably not going to see you as a prospective customer who they are going to get a lot of benefit out of. Number 1, they might worry that you're not going to pay them back on time, and number 2, they might just think that you don't have a lot of disposable income, which circles back to what we were talking about earlier, because if you have to pay all of those other accounts and other lenders, then you're probably not going to spend a whole lot of money on this card in most situations. And once again, they don't like that because they make money when you spend money on their credit card. Now, this should go without saying, but if you are in that situation, then you've got some serious debt cleanup to take care of before you even consider opening another credit card. But even if you just have one other account, such as a student loan or a mortgage, then that amount could be tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on its own. And that is more than enough to scare off a new credit card company and cause your application to be denied. So the quickest way out of this one, if this is the issue for you, is to just pay down that debt as quickly as possible. Now, that's easier said than done, especially if you have a large account like a mortgage or a mountain of student loans, but getting rid of those larger debts, especially if they are high interest, is going to serve you much better in the long term anyways, and it's probably best that you get rid of them before opening a new account. And lastly, the 5th and final reason that your credit card application may have been denied, that is probably the one that is most overlooked by a lot of people, is there might be an error on your credit report. I know that might sound unlikely, but that kind of thing happens all the time, and a major error on your credit report, whether that be an incorrect payment history or in serious situations, a report of an account that is not even yours, is likely a huge red flag to these credit card companies. Now, this might sound like a huge mess, and it's definitely something that you will want to take care of pretty quickly, but the good news is that you can simply send a letter to the credit bureau that is reporting this error and explain the situation to them, and generally, the credit bureau has just 35 days to investigate the situation and respond, and if that problem that you see on your report truly is an error, then 9 times out of 10, they will be able to help you pretty quickly and get that taken off of your credit report. And that can basically instantaneously boost your credit score. So if none of those previous situations seem viable for your situation, then you might want to take a close look at your credit report and make sure that everything checks out, because you might be very surprised to find a major error that could be the reason why your credit card application was denied. So this definitely doesn't cover all of the bases, but hopefully this was helpful in explaining some reasons why your credit card application may have been denied, and how you can improve your odds of getting approved for whatever credit card you want to apply for next. As always, if you did get value out of this content and you want to help support me, it would mean a lot to me if you would hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who you think would get value out of this content as well. And of course, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.